Welcome back to the show this morning. David Flowers from David Flowers Teletherapy. And today we're talking about Father's Day. You can't forget about dear old dad.
Yeah.
It's coming up next weekend.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And we were just chatting before we came on. You know, overall, I feel like a lot more emphasis may be put on Mother's Day.
Oh yeah, and I think maybe reasonably so,
Yeah,
right? Just a lot of work goes in there for sure.
But let's talk about dad and making sure that he gets the attention he deserves.
Sure.
And coming from your perspective, what do you think people should focus on?
Well, the other thing we were talking about just now, right, is that it can be harder to come up with something for dad.
Sometimes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it can be. So I just come and started thinking like, how can I help people kind of narrow down, what's important? And I thought, first thing is having a good handle on. You don't want it to become about expectations, right? In other words, you want to just be able to focus on something fun, right? So if anybody hasn't gotten something yet, right, think in terms of, like you said, experiences, right? And not having expectations around the day that, I don't know, whether it becomes having some big conversation or, some type of issue that you want to deal with, or kind of letting that go and just focusing on the fun.
Well, and it sounds like you're saying, I know sometimes people may put pressure on themselves, or there may just be pressure, like you said, about expectations. So I guess there's more opportunity for bonding in an experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We see in the research that men just really value, like we said, those experiences, activities. Men actually report that one of the things that they wish they were getting more of, just in general, is just their person in their life, their significant other, just going with them to stuff, right? Activities, events, things like that, which frequently is happening a lot during the dating time, and then kind of falls off afterwards.
Well, then what about, with the kids then? Does that kind of apply too? Because you said you have expensive taste, so it's not all about the gifts, right?
Yeah, when it comes to the expensive taste, right? A lot of times guys will focus on, when it comes to gifts, it could become about technology, about speakers and
the latest, greatest stuff.
Yeah, technology stuff, right? Yeah.
Well, let's talk about then, for some, again, there may be a strain there. Let's focus on how people can strengthen their relationship with dad overall.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it becomes about time spent, right? To me, those two words are huge. Time spent. Making efforts, if you're not close by as far as distance goes, calling, checking in. I have a daughter that's in Boston, and so it's always really important to me that she'll call in and we'll FaceTime, spend a little bit of time together, right? And if you are nearby, just understanding that your presence is super important to him.
Yeah, it may sound cliche, but your presence is the present.
Right. It is. I'm glad you said it, but yes, it is.
All right, again, it's coming up Sunday, June 15th, don't forget. And then, as always, we thank you, David, for weighing in on different relationship advice and issues. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks.
All right.